sure people buy their land appropriately, that, you know, all the checks and balances are done. If they're building, that I help them project manage those bills, you know, things like that. So we have an estate that we're putting together, and we dedicated that estate back to our ancestors. And so the ancestors left through the door of no return. We are returning through the door of return. So we had a big celebration as part of Crossing Continents to rededicate that plot of land back to our ancestors, as if to invite them back home, because they were taken away, they never came back. But what we're saying to you is, we are returning through our ancestors. They might have been not able to come back, but through our DNA and our lineage, we are returning home. So we put on things like that. And there are other things that we're going to be doing. We're in the planning process now of putting a program together of how we can support not only people coming home, but how we can support Gambians as well, young people with skills and work and different things like that. So we're putting a program together right now.
Yes, earlier on you mentioned land. You are also quite worried about land tenure here, particularly with the leasehold
Yes.
for people who are not citizens.
Yes.
So you had an issue with that.
We did. In the first draft, which was the Pink Book, it talked about changing land to leasehold, retrospective, holding it only for 30 years, in aggregate for 90 years, so you can renew it 3 times. Now, as you can appreciate, many have bought land not under leasehold, but under customary, so they're able to hold it in perpetuity, pass it on in their will for their children, etc. And then to be faced with this, it's like, well, how does that leave us? How are we able to pass on our legacy to our children? Because not only are we coming home, we are encouraging our children to come home and help to build Africa as well. And we are the first generation putting things in place for them, buying a plot of land, building a house, so that our children have somewhere to come and live when they come home. If that's taken away from us, that's going to leave us in a quandary, really. You know, what do we do? If I pass on, what do my children do? What happens to the house I've built and the land that I bought for them? Do they lose it all? We really didn't know what that meant. So we started lobbying on that as well. And we had a lot of support from all the large estate agents, because many of those estate agents, the very, you know, TAFs and the Blue Oceans and the Global Properties, they depend on diasporans coming home as well to sell their properties to. So it would have affected them as much as it would have affected us. So they joined the lobby as well to say, you know, I think you need to rethink that, because one, if people have bought land in a particular way, would it be a breach of contract to just change it halfway through? We've got our documents that says we own our land in this way. Can the government really just change that? So, you know, we need to look at all those legalities as well.
Absolutely.
In the second draft that went to Parliament, it now talked about, again, holding land in a lease, but for 50 years, renewable. It didn't say how many years it's renewable. It was silent on that. But again, we still need to know, how many times can that be renewed? Is it once, twice? Can it be refused? Will it go through? Because I might not be here in 50 years' time. What future do my children have if they go to renew it? We don't know. It was silent.
Absolutely. But you will also concede that notions of land, citizenship can be so contentious.
Yes.
You know, politicians might be reluctant because they're not really sure what the electorate, how they would behave, and some people have also advanced the idea that when land really, when it's an open market, as it were, perhaps most Gambians would be priced out, and pretty soon you're gonna see possibly prime land or owned by what they call foreigners.
Yeah.
So one is quite careful of sort of the potential social ramifications of tomorrow.
I do understand that, but I think what you have to understand is, we from the diaspora, we're not buying up massive plots of land to develop like the Swamis and other you know, nationalities coming here. We don't have that financial income. You know, we're coming here, we might buy 1 or 2 plots for our family, but we're not building a housing estate of 400, let's say, or 300. That's not what we're doing. And even if we did do that, the benefits would be that it's creating jobs. we wouldn't be pricing Gambians out of the market. We would be contributing to the infrastructure of Gambia. What would we be doing? Not just houses. It might be hospitals, schools, skill centres, different things to work with Gambians. Say, if there was a big piece of land, what can we do with that? You know, we might need more hospitals, as I said here, to stop, you know, the childbirth deaths, etc. Maybe schooling, different types of schools as well. So we could add to that infrastructure, but we have to do that together. We wouldn't come and take prime land away from Gambians, because that's not what we're here